Hey, there we are. We are live. Good morning, mediums. Welcome to another episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. It is season 2, episode 59. I am Josh Hayes here with Scott Moon and hopefully later Ralph Kern. Today, the authors of the military science fiction techno thriller Liberator, Nick Bailey and Darren Bullock, join the show. Darren and Nick have been, or Steve as we like to call, has been writing since 2016, and today they join us to talk about their writing journey. Nick, Darren, welcome to the show.
Hello, guys.
It's Nick or Steve, however way Scott wants to address Nick today.
I call Josh Steve all the time. But actually, normally I just call everybody Josh. He just keeps it simple.
I like pizza, Steve.
I like pizza, Steve. That's exactly right. Exactly right. I do like pizza.
So welcome to everybody hanging out in the live chat with us.
We'd like to make sure we assure everybody we got a new Keystroke Medium promise that everybody's going to be on their best behavior today and there'll be no shenanigans or talking.
Who made that promise?
I don't know. I just
you made that promise.
I made the promise.
That promise.
Scott, were you in the pre-show?
No,
I mean, you were there.
Yeah, I did see some chaos.
For those of you that don't, we need to figure out a way to do like a pre-show that everybody can watch that nobody can see.
Members.
I don't know how to do a members only pre-show.
Members only pre-show.
But
pre-show.
Is that like the premium edition?
Right.
Oh, premium Keystroke Medium. That it's the Stroker edition is what we like to call it. Yeah, but the shenanigans were heavy during the pre-show, so this is going to be a great episode. And let's right into it. Let's see. We'll start with Darren today. So, Darren, if you would please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in writing.
I'm an old man. Well, nearly an old man. But my writing journey started a long time ago. When I was back at school. We started with trying to make ourselves some comics up and do bits and pieces. Then during the lunch breaks and stuff. When we left, I quite liked to continue, and I sort of wrote short horror stories and things for myself, really. Showed them to a couple of friends, and they said, "That's really good stuff." And life just got in the way, really. And then as time went by, me and Nick eventually got back together again and went, right, we need to do some of that stuff that we were doing before. And it's Liberator has been a long time coming. Gonna be about 30 years now in the making. It's just that life got in the way for us, really, more than anything. And then we thought, getting old now, it's time to start letting other people see this world that we've created.
That's very neat. Nick, how did you guys meet? How did you guys decide to go and do this collaboration?
Well, basically, we've known each other since we were like 12 years old, literally. We met in school. We sat next to each other in an art lesson one day. We were both drawing like comic stuff, and they were like, "Hey, you like comic stuff too?" And we're like, it went from there. And we literally started sort of planning to write a comic. Like Darren said, originally, we were into doing comic artwork and things like that. Yeah, got really good friends. Ended up getting involved in a little bit of role-playing games and things like that together, and some other stuff, and it sort of built up from there. And we I suppose the role-playing games sort of built our ability to write stories, and we both got involved in a little bit of writing as well. We both enjoyed writing stories when we were kids. And yeah, like Darren said, we lost touch for a few years a bit later on, and then when we got back in touch, we were like, "Hey, yeah, what you been up to?" And turns out we've both been sort of like playing about with a bit of writing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we just sat down one day and said, "Look, back in the old days, we had all this stuff going on. Let's just go back to that and write it." And literally, that's how Liberator was born. It's the Liberator stuff. It really is about 30 years old, getting on 30 years old. The background for it.
I love the idea of a story that's 30 years in the making, and it's also interesting because, I mean, a huge section of our writers we interview are all role players and stuff. It's where you learn to world build and do all those things. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll get into more about the process of writing, I guess, later. But yeah, that's usually our format.
So,
A lot of people do ask about collaboration because it's not an easy subject. Collaboration.
Oh yeah.
It's like
kind of like the show. It's like I do everything and Scott just stands there.
I just
Hey, Scott looks really good.
and then after about 6-8 months into the show, Josh tells me, "Hey, you need to turn your microphone around because it's backwards." Things like that. That's how we roll right there.
That's awesome.
It's good to have. I can kick in every now and then on a whim.
So tell us a little bit about. Tell us. Oh, it is the eclipse today. If we broadcast, we should have done the show during the eclipse and seen how many people go blind live.
Yeah,
I guess we wouldn't have seen that. Hey,
you missed the trick, guys. Why don't you just turn the lights off?
Ooh, true. We'll fake everybody out. Like
it's the eclipse though.
Start yelling, "The eclipse is here! You're all missing it!" And everyone runs outside.
And we're like, no, come back to the show. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Liberator. Tell us about the story.
Basically, it fits neatly into military sci-fi, but it's very character based. It isn't your regular. This is the army guys, and there's an invasion, and it sort of follows a unit. It starts off with a disbanded, well, not more or less disbanded, old military corporation, and basically the universe we've built is split into several different factions, and it centers more around what happens in sort of the Federation, which is a very corporate universe. So all of the military corporations are private military contractors. There's no set armies. So it bases around what used to be an extremely good outfit called the Liberators, but basically 8 years previous to the start of the novel, they were more or less destroyed. And it starts off with Orlando Nixon basically getting into some trouble and finding out that her lifelong friend has been basically abducted, and she goes back for help from what's left of the Liberators to reform and go on a mission to save Sky Pennington. And it sort of builds from there. The story is very, very quite simple. It's a very old school rescue mission story, but it's the characters and the character building that make it what it is. It's about the people more than it is about the mission, honestly.
And there's some interesting things about Orlando and kind of her situation. Can you talk about that without spoilers?
Yeah, I'll leave that on.
Yeah. We could talk about that without without spoilers. She's a complicated lass. She has some issues. Let's just say that she was born into quite a well-to-do family, quite high up on the corporate ladder. There's a lot of money in her family, and to sort of rein her in a bit, her father had sent her off to do some military training, and she'd gotten involved with the Liberators, and they sort of reined her in a bit. But during her time, she found something that sort of affected her psyche a little bit. More. Yeah, more.
Basically, what Darren's trying to say is she's extremely unstable. She's off the scale, and she's not a bad person, but she has very, very bad traits which come out under duress if she allows it. And we've got two guys, Orlando and Shan. They've previous to the story, quite a long time previous to the story, they've got hold of what is effectively extremely ancient sentient technology,
right?
Which gives them prowess in battle that is just shocking, to be fair. And unfortunately, it also affects their psyche, which in Orlando's case just made things worse for her.
It seemed like kind of almost a symbiotic type relationship between her and some of this technology, and maybe not always good for her psyche.
That's right. Yeah, it's not to her benefit really. It's almost as if that the technology quite likes having a bit of a laugh at hers and other people's expenses.
Yeah, she's pretty vile.
She could be pretty vile. Yeah.
She like sort of opposite sides of the same coin in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
you want to talk to us a little bit about kind of the inciting incidents for the book, or kind of what kicks things off? You started to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, basically, we've dubbed it the James Bond start. So you come in the middle of some action which isn't related really to the rest of the story. We're probably going to continue that with the rest of the novels, where basically you come in and they're on a previous mission or an unrelated thing, which just sets the tone, sets the song, gets a hook. You see what's going on. Possibly certainly in Orlando's case, it was a bit of a shocking start, where you really need to question, like, she's the good guy. But yeah, it opens with quite a violent start, and then eases back out away from that, and before it gets going. Yeah, we dubbed it the James Bond start because that's how all James Bond films started, it with finishing the last thing before you
right.
move it.
I was going to say, because I had an English teacher years, he was the same English teacher as you. He said, when you write a story, he says, make sure you grab the audience within the first few pages. He says, because if you lose them, they ain't going to turn them more pages, no matter how many pages it's got. They're not going to turn them anymore.
You can have the best story ever on page 302, but if you don't,
that's it. Yeah. Sorry, didn't get there.
I know lots of agents at conferences will talk that they get tired of hearing that when somebody will pitch their story, then they'll say, but you gotta, in chapter 3, it really starts to get going. So,
yeah.
The thing is that does work in sort of epic fantasy and big volume books and established writers. But when you're new and I mean, for some people it didn't work. Well, I'm not going to lie. Some people have said they thought that it was a bit out of place. But out of everybody that's read and given any feedback, it's been a very, very small minority that didn't think that the beginning was a good hook.
Well, and it's kind of like, you mentioned it didn't have anything else to do with the story. Like, it was just kind of its segmented thing. But it's kind of like introducing the characters and then setting up a promise for the rest of the book, even though it doesn't directly kind of relate to the plot. But if you start out with kind of a slow build and then the rest of the book say act thing, then you've kind of thrown off the expectation a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the established authors like people like Sean Hudson, he doesn't ruin his book till the last chapter, really.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious about. I'm curious about the character building a little bit, and I want to go back to the main character we were talking about. Scott and I have sat down and tried to do a little bit of world building on a project that we're thinking about doing. Whether or not it takes off, I don't know. But we took Nick Cole's and Jason Ansbach's theory of yes and instead of no but in our world building and character development, and saying I would come up with an idea and then Scott would go yes and blah 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 and continue kind of the conversation about the world building. Is that something that went into your characters, and is your main character kind of an amalgamation of both of you guys, or how did that work for you?
To be honest, yeah, I mean the yes and really is how we work. The thing is, we've known each other so very long that we kind of know how each other think anyway, so we very rarely disagree, and
we do.
Well, we do disagree, but it's not like I'm going to punch you in the face because I think you're rubbish, or
well,
I'm going to quit Liberator.
That would be fun to see, though.
There's only one way to settle this, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
thinking competition.
Yeah.
No, fight.
Somebody grab a chair.
I think the thing with Liberator is that Orlando isn't the main character. There isn't really a main character, and we don't want there to ever be in the Liberator series. There won't be a main character. It's an ensemble piece, but it flicks between maybe 4 to 5 real main characters, and then there's lots of sub characters behind that.
Yeah,
and we both do work on each character. We each have a priority character, if you like, and then the other person will be like, but what if this? That's how we work, and it works out very, very well.
It's a matter of keeping that brainstorming going, because it's when we get together and we do the brainstorming, you've got to have something to write on, or write with, or take notes on, because we'll go, that was brilliant, and then 10 minutes down the line, you've forgotten it. You've got to put it down then, and then you can go, no, that was rubbish, and just cross it out.
Yeah. There was a couple things that when Scott and I we had a couple online meetings, and I said we should record these, and then we didn't record them, and we talked for an hour on, I don't know, something.
We covered a lot of ground too.
And like 3 days later, we were like, what did we say that was so kick ass that now we can't remember what it was? And
well, I'm gonna say when we do those online meetings, and we've got Skype open, for instance, we write, but we keep the text Skype open, so that we can keep ideas bouncing backwards and forwards, and then you can always go back to it if you need to, and you can just check it out, or you can copy and paste it into whatever you want. So you've got your own notes then. But it's always useful because you can be in the middle of writing and then go, I've just had a brilliant idea. Then you pass it on, and he goes, no, that's rubbish, or no, let's expand on that. And it's always useful to sort of keep that window open, as it were.
Communication's key. If you're going to collaborate, the moment you stop talking for any length of time, be it days or a couple of weeks, that's when you'll start to lose both the drive and your direction. And we do talk a lot. I mean, we meet up every few weeks, face to face. But when we're online, right, I've always when I log on to write, I'll open Skype. If Darren's there, we'll converse as we write. And quite often I'll like chuck a paragraph at him over Skype and say, look, just have a read of this, and Darren will come back and he'll say, no, that's rubbish. Or
oh my God, we've been invaded. Sorry.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, Ralph is here, and he's wearing pants. So
yeah, Scott lost the bet. He said you were going to come on naked, but
he's alleged. He's alleged.
In all fairness, you're only seeing my top half, so
Please don't stand up.
don't make any judgments about what might be on. Or
I
might
have
not be on my bottom half.
I have no probable cause to suggest that he's wearing pants. I mean,
With the real Ralph Kern, please stand up. No, don't.
It would scare you. It would scare you.
I think this is the first fivesome we've ever had on Keystroke.
This is a new record. We like to do new things on Keystroke Medium, and this is the largest group we've done, I think.
Can I just apologise to the audience for well, I will anyway, Josh. I will. For my tardiness, I was stuck at work trying to find a needle in a haystack or something in a stack of needles. Anyway,
yes.
So yeah, you guys probably know what I'm about.
I got your reference.
Drug dance. Don't go near him.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, since you decided not to make it for the first half of the show, we have been talking about Liberator. We've been just now starting to talk about the collaboration and how they work on their ideas. Nick, you were saying something about communication and then Skype. Did you want to kind of expand on any more of that, or?
I was just saying, if we log on, even if I don't think Darren's going to be on, I've got a very hard schedule because I work shifts, got 4 kids, and my house is just a nightmare to even try to get any kind of order in. But if I'm online, I will always put Skype on, and if Darren turns up, we'll say hi, maybe exchange a few ideas and carry on. But yeah, it is. Communication's key. When you're collaborating, communication is key all the time.
I think the other great thing about it is that drive thing, because when you're writing and you hit that wall, or you're just feeling really rubbish about yourself. We've had a bad day, and you just don't want to do it. You just go, do you know what? I don't want to do this. My brain's not working. I can't get into first gear, let alone reverse. You just don't want to do it. And then he'll come on and say, stop being so stupid. Come on. Pick yourself up and get on. He doesn't say it like that. There are more expletives. But yeah, it's that sort of thing. You get drive off the other person. They will push you through.
I did a blog spot on Joe Zebedee's blog back 6 months or so ago, where she wanted me to do a blog about collaboration, and that was one of the main things. As writers, we all know that sometimes you just go, do you know what? I've had enough, and you chuck your pen across the floor. But if you've got somebody there with you who's, if you need to be friends for a start to collaborate. You can't collaborate with someone who's not your friend. It's just not going to work, because you hate each other even more.
You're going to fall out, yeah.
So yeah, if I'm having a bad time, Darren he just picks you up, and sometimes we go, right, we just forget everything. We'll go for a coffee, and then a couple of hours later, we're back to full steam, and everything's going.
15 lattes later.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would like to know, you talked about your books being very character driven. And so can we talk about what makes a good character and how you develop your characters?
Because they make a good character. You got to make them real.
Yeah, they've got to be.
You got to observe. Whether somebody said to me when I said, "Oh, I wrote a book and it's science fiction," they said, "I don't like science fiction. It's all made up stuff." I just, it's yeah, but you like these other novels. You like your romance novels. That's all made up stuff. Except our stuff is made up in the future. It's just the same. They still have relationship problems. They still go to the loo. They eat, they drink, they fall out, they make friends, they meet people, they travel. All the same things we do now, except the setting is slightly different.
Right.
There's more tech, and if you make those people, I think if you try and make them believable, I hope that we've made them somewhat sort of realistic, in the setting that they're in. That's the key to a good character. You've got to make them. You can have outlandish things, yeah, but they've got to have that believability about them, I think.
Yeah.
Also, you can't. It's like in real life. You don't get good guys and bad guys. I'm sure Ralph would disagree with me because he chases bad guys all the time for a living. But,
chases and never catches.
No, it's not what I've heard.
Are you enjoying your office job, Josh?
Josh is winning the hearts and minds right now, and blowing stuff up twice a month.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no black and white, is there? Everybody loves their mum. I mean, okay, the main bad guy in Liberator, Danar Jr. You very rarely see him. To be fair, he only crops up a couple of times, and then in the end, but he's a pretty vile guy. To be fair, he's probably the most two-dimensional guy in the entire book. Right. Everyone else, they're shades of grey. They're they're good with bad traits or bad with good traits, and some of them are worse than others.
I can say all those people that work for Danar, they're just normal people who want jobs.
Right.
They're not necessarily evil bad guys or minions, if you will. They're just people who they go, do you know what? I got to put food on the table, and I got to work for somebody. And that's how it is in this corporate sector that we've created for them. On the other side, in some of the other factions, it's different. So
I'm curious.
One of the things I found quite interesting about Liberator was some of your characters who are on the protagonist side. I suppose if you were to view them from a different point of view, they might be perceived as the bad guys. Especially there's one young lady in particular I'm thinking of, and I think that's one of the things you had nailed in that story was sort of, it just so happens you picked these bunch of points of views. From other points of views, things would look.
Yeah,
that's right.
I heard somebody
exactly right.
He's picked up on something we were discussing before we came on out. That's really, really important. We've got quite a complicated arc going across. You've got the main storyline, but we've also got the character arcs. Two characters in particular, Shannon and Orlando. Their arc is going to be very, very important through the book. Without putting any spoilers in this, there is a huge amount of change going to be going on. So it was actually quite important that Orlando was seen as, whilst she's on the good guy's side, she's pretty unpleasant, or can be pretty unpleasant, but also she's got that sort of childlike naivety about her as well. Whereas the other guy, Shan, one of the people that reviewed it, picked up perfectly, where they said he loves everybody too much and too well and wants to save everybody but can't. So you've got that sort of flip side. He tries to be too good, she doesn't try to be good, and where they're going is quite, it's not pivotal to the overall story, but it's pivotal to the way the Liberators are going to pan out.
I think people are fascinated with anti-heroes, and they want to think that this Super Commando Orlando would, like, if that was like on their side, you always want to see those. The example I was using is Sandor Clegane, because he's a terrible, terrible character in the Game of Thrones. But for some reason his story is compelling, and he changes during his story arc too. But I read the whole series, and I came back and read from the beginning, and I'm like, I had started to like that character, and then I started and read the series again, and I got to where I first met him. I was like, why did I like that guy? That guy's terrible. You know. But what you were saying before is like the villain probably thinks they're the hero in most stories.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that makes for a compelling villain. If the villain can not just necessarily convince his minions, but convince you as a reader that actually he might have his point of view might be reasonable, that makes him more insidious and therefore more dangerous. If he's even convincing you. So
I'm doing the best for everyone.
Yeah, they're protecting their, or like, I don't want to keep doing the Game of Thrones, but it's like Cersei's protecting her family. But I think there's no way to get around that she's a bad person.
I think the best villains, and I've said it before, is I think the best villains are the ones that you can sympathize with, and that you can look at it and go, okay, I completely understand why they're doing it. You might not agree with them. Some of them could be really, really bad, but some protagonists are not evil, vile people. They're just going against what the antagonist or what the protagonist is trying to do.
One of the interesting things about the prequel trilogy for Star Wars, which I won't make any sort of any major defense of it. I won't make any major defense of it, but it's somehow quite emotive to see Darth Vader as a 7-year-old boy.
Yeah.
You know, and the thought that actually this Dark Lord of the Sith, the root of all evil in that universe, was a kid at one point.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't come out of a Bacta tank.
Yeah. It didn't just come fully formed.
Yeah, he came out
not necessarily fully formed.
I am Darth Vader.
Well, in
the thing I like about the prequel trilogy is that it was so well acted. I'm
glad I wasn't drinking. Thanks.
If your next line is you like Jar Jar Binks, I'm hitting the power button.
Yeah, it's going off. It's off.
Misa say people
I think
die?
Jar Jar Binks is supremely no. I think that's.
I like his ears the best.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, now that I just completely blew out our talking points, maybe we can do the.
Did we not warn everybody that that's how it was going to be?
Ridiculous.
That's how it works. You talk about the villains, then you do a comedy break.
Yes.
You do. I can't. I'm just not. I can't find Kylo Ren that scary. He just doesn't look like it.
No, he's just too. Really? He's like an angry teenager, isn't he? Maybe that's part.
He is.
Like, go to your room.
Kylo Ren with like a Tesco mask on. It's not even a good mask. You know?
Yeah.
He's like, you know when you're young and you think that something's cool, and then when you're a bit older, you look back and you're like, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah. When Kylo Ren's in his 30s, he's going to look back and think, "I was just a joke." It's, you know.
Incidentally, last week Ralph thought it would be great to wear cutoff jeans Daisy Dukes, and this week he decided that was probably not the best idea.
That's probably not the best idea, yeah.
Hold on. Let's have the truth. It was a request from you, and I.
Well, it's always a request. We put that.
That's right.
Nobody condition.
It's not a request. It's like, why do you want me oiled and buttered every time, Josh?
Just because you wouldn't sign the contract.
Yes.
Why is Ralph the only one with the dress code?
Let's go ahead and do the sponsor for this week's ridiculous, crazy episode. It is Stephen Manley, or Chuck the Man Chuck Manley, as we like to call him here on the show. He has just released a short story collection called Walking Worlds. It is take a walk through the worlds of adventure. Walking Worlds is a collection of 8 action-packed stories set in an assortment of genres. Each tale takes readers on a thrilling ride through a world of imagination populated with characters both serious and snarky. Whether facing vampires on Atlanta's dark streets, raising a sword and shield against a hideous beast, or flying through the stars with a trusted team of space marines, every world you walk is sure to get your heart pumping. And there's a great collection here. It is on Amazon right now for 99 cents until September 1st. So be sure and go and pick up your copy. The link will be in the show notes, and it is also in the live chat for our live audience. Go and pick it up right now, or you will be forever marked as a unbuyer.
Just marked. Leave it.
Leave
it subtly menacing. And just say,
can I just say something about that book? If you go out and buy that book, don't forget to review it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right? Very good. Very nice.
Apparently, somebody said, I think it was somebody called Scott.
You actually live 5 years longer.
5 years longer if you write a review.
You do.
That is true.
That's amazing.
I've heard from a reliable source that like it can lower your cholesterol, it can improve your cognitive awareness and things like that.
That's amazing.
Even book reviews has lots of health benefits.
And if I were to stand up, you would see the benefits of.
He's reviewed a lot of books.
I'm leaving a review.
You disgust me.
That's the best.
Josh crying.
That's ridiculous. I'm really glad I wasn't taking a drink of my coffee there, because the whole show would have gone into some 7th level of hell as the computer gets run over by coffee and evil from Great Britain.
I'm pretty sure we've lost some drinks through our noses, at least in some of our episodes. Those are probably our Thursday night shows where there's maybe a little bit more adult beverages.
I cannot wait until we start TNL again, and I think
it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon for me.
Yeah,
so
well done.
I go to work.
If I didn't have to put in flooring after this, maybe we'd just all get schnockered. But I think in TNL, our first TNL, when we bring it back, we should just do it completely wasted. Like just
party.
Do like a 3-hour pregame and chug beers and take shots, and then as soon as we hit live, nobody knows how to talk. Like we're falling out of camera, and everybody's just like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it. We're drunk."
The thing I like about writing, guys, are the words. I think we could get some real insight into a creative writing process.
We could.
Halfway through, Scott breaks down and he starts crying. Oh, I love words.
I've got to tell you, Josh, I miss Scribner.
I missed you.
The worst thing, guys, I never learned to read.
That's why I listen to it.
Oh, that's a seamless link. What do you guys use to do your collaboration projects? So the practicalities of it.
So your choices generally on the show are Scribner, but some people are rebels and they use Word or stone tablets, whatever.
Well, we use smoke signals. That's why
that's a new one.
Smoke signals.
Yeah. No.
No.
Up till now, we've been using Word. I'd have to admit, I'm terrible with Word. I think Word is
terrible.
It is, for want of a better word. We're going to move on to Scrivener very, very shortly, basically through the advice of lots of people. But yeah, we've kind of held on at the moment due to. I'm going to make something up about why we've held on. It's not true, but we just haven't used it yet. But yeah, we are going to move on to Scrivener.
The reason we've not used it is because Word was an easy.
Darren is extremely stubborn. Extremely.
Don't tell him.
Is he one of those people who's constantly angry on the change cycle?
Very flexible.
We're moving locker room, angry.
Initially, we didn't know our left hand from our right hand when we were doing this. When we started, yeah. Word was one of the most. It
was all there was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Word or one of the open source ones.
Yeah. In fact, I did start off using.
That's true.
Open Office.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Word. When we first started, I used Open Office, which was okay. But when you've got people, Darren was using Word, I was using Open Office, and we were finding the formatting was just getting mixed up. And,
yeah. So we both ended up using Word. Then I would convert it with Serif's Page Plus. Page Plus had a really good transfer sort of program within it that allowed us to change it into a Kindle format. The Mobi.
Oh, no, that's not Mobi, is it? Is it Mobi?
Yes, Mobi.
Yeah,
Mobi. It allowed us to change all the other one, the other format as well. It allowed us quite readily, and because I'd worked in print, I worked in the print industry for like many years. It was something I knew. So I said, well, I can transfer that. That's fine. And so we did that. And that's where it is. So now that was initially what we used. So Scribner looks like the way to go.
So do you guys use Dropbox or Google Drive to kind of share the documents between?
Yeah.
What's I'm curious, like there are some collaboration teams out there that do, like, one does the outline and then the second writer, the other writer will flesh out that outline, and it kind of goes back and forth. So how do you guys kind of approach the creation of the manuscript from first draft and then on?
Let's say initially our first one was
It's kind of chaos.
Yeah, the first one was real chaos because we went,
It's chaos.
you write something, I'll write something, show each other, and then go, ugh, and see which one was. And we did start with one particular storyline
And scrapped it.
and just went, nah, bin it, went totally. It was totally out there, wasn't it? It was, and then we changed.
We outlined face to face. We're sitting and drink 9 gallons of coffee, face to face, with just good old fashioned pens and papers, and start an actual just bullet point outline. And from there, we start to build a story, which quite often, to be honest, even with Rift, the follow-up to Liberator, the story's been scrapped, 3 times, more or less now. We're probably about 60% through the novel now. We've got the core, but I wouldn't be surprised if things still change.
Spoiler.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's Jamie Glover's art.
Jamie Glover.
Jamie Glover's artwork. He's fantastic, that guy.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, but basically we get the outline of the story, sort of what we're expecting it to be, and then we just write whatever bit we feel like writing. So it could be the beginning, it could be the middle, it could be the end, and we kind of stitch it together at the end.
Yeah.
You know, we don't even have a real chronological order until we've got enough to start piecing it together. We go, that bit will actually, we'll move that bit forward and it will fit better, and then it will lead on to this bit. It's pretty chaotic.
We sort of kind of know where we're going.
Yeah, we know where we're going.
We know which direction we're heading, and we know what we want to happen.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I mean, there's a piece recently, I've written a piece, and then you've read it and gone, I know exactly what to put at the beginning of that. Yeah. Can I do it? Yeah, crack on, do it.
Yeah.
And he'll put it in the beginning, and then we'll mash it together and make it work.
Yeah. Then we just alter as we need to go.
I think that's interesting, finding the narrative order of your scenes as opposed to just chronologically how you wrote them.
Yeah.
So do you start out, I mean, just taking it almost a step back from that, do you start out with a general direction of the plot, or is it almost a case of you have a set of set pieces which are awesome, and then you kind of think, oh, how do we link these all together?
I think we've got a general idea where our plot. The thing is, for our story arc at the moment, we've already had our brainstorming meetings where we've planned out essentially a number of the follow-ups, so we sort of kind of know where we're going to, and then we build on that, don't we? Sort of, we'll take each one as it comes along.
Well, for the whole arc, we're probably aiming for maybe 6 to 8 books in the Liberator series that's just about the Liberators. We know where that started and we know where we want it to end, but we've got a lot of filling in. We know the points, we've got all sorts of scenes fitted out for all the way through it. It's just a case of making sure we can mold a story that fits into the things that we want to happen to make it end up where we need it to end up. And I suppose the same process for each individual novel as well. We know what the overall outcome needs to be. We know what the main scenes are going to be, and then it's just a case of putting together. And then one of us will just go, oh, I've got a brilliant idea, and it'll like change half the book, and we'll write scenes and rewrite scenes, and it's chaos. I don't know anybody else that writes like it, to be fair.
I think sometimes when you write with characters that are quite chaotic, they get a tendency to take over the novel, and you go, why am I here? Well, where have I gone to? And they've just turned up somewhere or done something. You've gone, why did you do that?
That kind of leads into one of the questions I always ask about if you have a favorite secondary character, because I think sometimes they can take prominence. But do you guys have each individually or together have like a favorite secondary character, it's not really the main protagonist, that's your favorite to write in their storyline?
My favourites at the moment, who, like I said, there's not really a main and then secondaries. There's a group of mains and then a sort of a group of secondaries.
Okay.
My favourite secondaries at the moment is Steph and Shakira, who are worlds apart in where they came from, personalities. One's a post-human, and he's one of the things in the book that's important is there are no alien. Well, there's one alien race, the Nefari, which you do not meet, and you're not going to meet them for a long, long time. Everything else that seems to be alien is just post-human, and Shakira's a post-human, and Stephanie is basically a base human cop, and they are worlds apart, but they're slowly coming together in a bizarre, not quite romance, and that's going to lead some interesting places, to be honest. They're sort of my favourites for not knowing exactly where they're going to go. We even have an end point for them.
Yeah,
you know, but how we get to that end point is interesting. Yeah.
How many books do you guys have planned for this series?
Probably 6 to 8.
Yeah,
but we've made the universe so that we can write any amount of books within it that are unrelated to the Liberator.
And so the other thing is there will be short stories or novelettes that will fill in background. That's the sort of things where we go, that's brilliant, people need to see that, but you can't put it in a book, you can't put it in that novel because it doesn't fit. It's sort of outside the arc,
right?
And there is, funnily enough, an Orlando bit novelette. It's growing as we speak, that gives you a bit of better insight into her and what's happening with her a bit.
But equally, they won't be necessary to read.
Yeah,
you'll be able to follow the Liberator arc without reading any of the supporting work. But it's interesting stuff that doesn't need to be in the main arc, but people might.
It'll nod. It'll nod. Yeah, it'll fill in stuff, and you can read it or not read it. So yeah, it's good. It's something extra for people to sort of.
Like Primordial is set in the Liberator universe, and that sort of goes into a bit of a sci-fi horror. I fancied writing something a bit horror-y, a bit Event Horizon, alien-y.
Event Horizon scares me. We'll talk about that on another show. I think I was traumatized by that. Really. Event Horizon. On the short stories, it seems like that's very popular in genres to have the short stories or novellas that are a little bit spin-offs. Is that something that you're just going to, like from a marketing perspective, we talk about that sometimes too, is that for like loyal fans or reader magnets, or something you're just going to offer for everybody to pick up? Or what are your thoughts on what are you going to do?
It's a mix of everything.
We
mix of everything.
Yeah, because if you read one of the spin-offs, it might get you into the main sort of body of work for the Liberator universe, and if you like it as a standalone, and you can read it as a standalone. But if you go, do you know what? I quite like that character. I quite like where that story went. I want to know a bit more, and you can delve into the universe a bit more. It's such a massive universe that we've either happened upon or created. It's what do you happen upon these, or do you create them?
Created during the mere 30 years of development.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So with the 6 to 8 books that you guys have expected in the series, and you say you kind of come up with ideas and go to A to B, Scott and I, when we were talking about our series that we were going to write together, we would sit down and have kind of brainstorming sessions on specific topics. We didn't really touch a whole lot on the world building for your universe, but is that something that you guys spend a lot of time with, so you're both kind of on the same page, knowing technology and politics and all that stuff? How did you guys brainstorm that?
The universe is, we actually focused on the small and the large built itself, basically. The foundations for the universe, like I said, we kind of created long ago, where you've got a universe with these three factions. You've got an empire, the Federation, and a kind of an up and coming smaller faction called the Protectorate, who are basically absorbing planets into their sphere of influence. They're all very different. The Empire is a totalitarian sort of state, whereas the Federation is capitalism gone 110%. Literally, there is nobody in charge apart from a basic council of the largest corporations that sort of see an overall guidance of where the Federation is going. It's basically, the Federation is anarcho-capitalist, whereas the Empire is totalitarian state. Neither are good or evil. They just are what they are. And the Protectorate is a building amalgamation of both that is more concerned with the advancement of mankind overall. And everything else is sort of built within that framework. And we don't really go into any politics in Liberator. There's more politics of the state of the universe coming out in Rift, and it will become more apparent from that. It becomes a slightly more of a political thriller the deeper we go into it. In some ways, it will become more military and more political as the deeper we go into the storyline.
Yeah,
but yeah, the universe itself, we didn't really brainstorm it. It just was already there for us in our minds, if you like.
I was going to say, we had an idea of what we sort of kind of wanted. Is that, especially with the Federation, it all came down to money. If you had money, there's a point in Liberator where there's an old man. He's nearly 100 years old. He's got a job in a prison ship, and he's coming up for retirement because he's 100 years old. If he'd have had the money, he could have lived longer. And as you'll find, some of the characters are a lot older than you think because they've had money to keep them that way. So the technology is available. So you can have your flashy, shiny ships if you want. You can have your holographic sort of screens. But if you haven't got the money, guess what? You get big.
You end up with a Nostromo.
Yeah, you end up with a Nostromo. Yeah,
and face huggers on your face.
Yeah,
with a serious infestation problem.
Yeah,
only one previous user.
Yeah.
slightly soiled.
Slightly soiled.
The ship in Primordial is old and decrepit, and I wanted to show that it had that retro 80s future where, you know, it was like green screens with little bits of text on, whereas the Ariane, she's AI driven, AI controlled, you know, everything is clean, tidy, holographic panes. On the other end of the scale, you've got ships where there's a guy sits in a leather chair with a joystick. You know, there's everything in between. If you've got the money, you get it. If you don't have the money, you don't get it.
It's analog all the way.
Yeah.
Can I just touch on a question one of our watchers has asked? Far, Big Ben. When you do your when you speak about your characters, or when you're sort of imagining how they will deal with the different situations you might be throwing at them, or they might be throwing themselves into, do you find yourself role playing between yourselves, any of those things, the characters, or having conversations in your characters' personas?
No.
Right.
That would be stupid.
There you go, Bob.
That would be so strange. That would be odd.
No. Not exactly to that point, but I think because we know the characters so well, it's quite easy to know how they think. We do have specialist characters. I mean, for instance, Darren knows Orlando inside out far better than I do, whereas I know Shan inside out far better than Darren does. So if Darren writes a bit that's got Shan, and he might turn around and say, look, bit stuck here, but how would Shan deal with this situation?
Is that right? Yeah,
because I know him better than Darren does. You know, it's not exactly role playing, but it is more of a I know certain characters better and Darren knows certain characters better.
Right.
They are quite fully fledged people.
Okay, here's an extension question then. Has the other one required the person who knows the character better to do something that is really against their character to make the plot work for the other person. Did that make sense, or do I need to re-articulate it?
No, that does make sense, but we've not got to that point yet.
No.
That's never happened yet.
No.
Who would win in a fight?
Because
if it does, it will just have to be a fight, which I'll win. We'll compromise and do it my way.
Fair enough.
I'm getting
wife tells me.
And in the edit, it will change.
And then Darren's in the background like he doesn't know I changed it in the manuscript. Vicky Malone Kennedy asked a little bit ago, strictly speaking, about military science fiction. If either one of you had a military or police background that kind of led into the work, or what do you do for your research on that kind of stuff?
Watch a lot of war films.
We just make everything up.
Yeah. No. I would never have got into the military, so as much as I may have wanted to, but it's a matter of reading a lot of military stuff. I mean, I quite like the Vietnam period. We grew up on war films, with World War II stuff, and spaghetti westerns as well. That sort of thing. It's it's watching and reading and just trying to cram in as much stuff as you can. I mean, in Liberator, the amount of pages and pages of like sort of military stuff you sort of have to read.
The research stuff we've got.
Yeah.
Literally pages and pages and pages of research stuff on Dropbox that's just, we look at it, we think we better keep it. We probably never use it ever again, but
And hopefully we get it right. I mean, some people who have done military service have said,
we do try to get it right.
You're pretty, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you can hope for, really, that somebody turns around and said, you know what? I like that. You're doing okay with that.
Plus, we did watch Aliens every day for about a year.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth something.
Yeah, but not all of it. Because there's a point where you have to stop it.
Only up to the point where Hudson dies. We don't watch that.
No, we don't watch any further than that.
Well, there's no point in watching further than that.
No. What's the point? Yeah.
Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah.
Ralph should
I'd extend it out to the vast cast time bit.
Yes.
I think it's interesting.
He goes out like a hero. And you're always wearing a whole Gorman.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was curious, or I thought it was interesting. You mentioned the spaghetti westerns, and I think that science fiction actually owes a lot more to the spaghetti westerns than people realize, because a lot of your storylines are just straight out of that. I'm talking about science fiction in general.
It's that final frontier, isn't it? Again, right. But to not coin a phrase, it's that out on the rim. It's the edge of new civilization, isn't it? Is where you build worlds.
The possibility of complete lawlessness, It's
right. You got the isolated community, and then gunslinger rides into town, and
we've
Jedi or whatever you want to call them.
We've said quite.
And I suppose you also have that nice sort of thing where, now at the moment we've got quite a fixed division between, say, the military and the state, but kind of out on the frontier, those two become somewhat combined. Look at the Federation from Star Trek or whatever, a pseudo-military exploration outfit, and so it gives you sort of more narrative leeway, I suppose, doesn't it? So,
yeah.
So when do you see this next the sequel coming out, the next book 2?
Well, the plan.
There's a plan?
No,
Stick to the plan.
No plan. No plan.
The plan is there is no plan.
Plan, procedures, produce.
We were planning or hoping to get this out by the new year, but because we've taken on another project, we've basically started up this just publishing, small publishing thing. That's kind of taken over a little bit at the moment, but that was also a bit of a cop out, because we both kind of hit a bit of a slump, and we were having a bit of a problem getting the drive back to going. So we took on something else at the moment, but hopefully we're still working on Rift currently, just a bit slower than we were originally. Still hoping for an early
it's a lot quicker than Liberator.
It's a lot quicker than
Liberator. A lot quicker.
But hopefully, certainly the first quarter of next year, we're hoping to have that out.
Do you want to talk about this other project, or is it super secret?
No, we've basically created a company, Dust Publishing Limited.
We need T-shirts.
I know, we're
Nathan,
losers.
Nathan, I know you're going to be watching
T-shirts. You know what? We had.
I was going to get a hat done, but
we had
lost my hat.
corporation T-shirts within the first 6 months of writing Liberator. Starting writing Liberator, we were wearing promotional clothes just so that we could, and cups.
Awesome.
Precious to them.
Yeah, Nathan, where are the explorations? I know you're watching.
Merchandising.
I want my T-shirt. I want my mug.
This thing. Where's your product, man?
Got
a mouse pad.
I'm defecting over to Dust. Screw you, Nathan.
Keystroke Medium, the breakfast cereal.
Yes.
So your
Build
publishing
your own
company.
keyboard. Oh, I got an X.
Yeah. So your publishing company, Dust Publishing. What are you guys doing with it?
Well, early in the days well, not early in the days, but when we were getting closer to publishing Liberator, we were wondering about making a small publishing company, just an easy, simple partnership. That's just so it's a legal entity to publish Liberator and any other stuff we do. We decided against that in the end. But then we were sort of thinking about it on and off for a while, and we just kind of had the idea about. Well, originally we were thinking at some point we might open up an anthology and ask if anybody wanted to write inside the Liberator universe.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than do that, we've actually just gone ahead and gone. Actually, we're just going to come up with some nice ideas and try and do an open world but framework.
Yeah.
Much like Nathan's doing with the explorations world, but on a slightly different tangent.
Give a nice brief to people. Let them see it and go, run with it. Do what you like.
Which I understand. A certain guy in a hat is.
Certain guy in a hat. Which one?
I've never met a short story I don't want to write lately, so I got them lined up. I got
we actually
big
do
plans.
We've got a really nice lineup for the first anthology.
Yeah.
For Just a
It's
really
going
nice
to be a
lineup.
good time.
Yeah.
We should get Josh on board. No pressure.
No. I'm putting short stories off to the end of the year. I gotta finish a super secret project before.
I gotta say, from what I understand, you guys are really busy with your stories.
Yeah. Well, and I've been putting in floors for 2 weeks and have written like one day out of that 2 weeks.
What Josh didn't realize that when he started doing the floors in his house is that his house is actually like 15,000 square feet apparently, because he's been.
That's a lot of trees he's gonna cut down.
Listen, I was putting floors down, and last week I could not bend my knee. I was doing so it was stuck like this, couldn't bend it, and that's when I realized I need.
You need to man up.
I'm telling you, if you run into Josh in person right now, it's almost irresistible not to go push him over, because you know he can't get back up.
I've got to find the eject button for Ralph here. Where I eject Ralph.
Muting Ralph.
Ridiculous.
That's good. Well, that's excellent with Dust Publishing, so I'm sure that'll be seeing lots of great things for that over the next year or so.
When do you expect your anthology to be out?
We're aiming for that to be out by the new year.
Yeah.
Basically, we've all the deadlines are in place, and we've got artwork being done. Jamie Glover is doing the artwork for us. We've got Sam.
Is that the guy whose picture is on the wall behind you?
Yeah. He's basically
that's all his artwork. Yeah.
All of our artwork up till now.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm a total coveraholic, and you're gonna have to send me that through because
I'll send that to you.
I want to see that in higher res.
I can say, well, I mean, Liberator's cover. I just did an outline. I went, I'll do an outline, and we went, that's really good. That's really, really cool. And Jamie turned around and says, do you mind if I fill that in? No, crack on, mate. Go on. Yeah. Not thinking how good it would be. And he come back with the Liberator cover, and we went, oh, for goodness sake, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Genius.
I've known Jamie a long time, and I never knew that he was an artist.
It's just outstanding work he does. So
he's actually just basically going commercial with it. I talked him into going commercial with it because he's too good to just not bother. You know, the things that you can knock up in really short time is unreal.
Yeah, it's always cool when you can bring a new. I like seeing it too, but I mean, you guys have kind of done it for him, bringing him into kind of the freelance world and setting him on a course to do for himself. And I love seeing that for new creators, whether it's writing or artists or whoever, whatever you do. I love seeing that kind of people kind of helping along and getting people started in there.
So we always support independent authors. We're always trying to push for indie authors because it's just so difficult out there. There's so many out there that are good, you know, trying to fight against a plethora of those that are not quite so good. And if you see something that's good and you see that we're promoting them, there's going to be something in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you guys, you know, you take us on and you say, yeah, you know, come and have a chat with us. That pushes us, but that's great. You know, that's fantastic. And, you know, we can only say thank you.
Yeah, there is a really nice community building up around us, and you know,
yeah.
I've met some great guys that have just been unbelievable help. I mean, Ralph, yourselves, Rob Campbell, you know, top guys.
Oh, Rob Campbell,
really nice.
Rob. Stop it now, get down.
Yeah, so really, and it's nice to build that sort of community up, and we're hoping that with Dust we can sort of bring in some new talent as well. That, you know.
Very neat. Very cool. Well, don't know anybody tell Rob Campbell that we talked about him on the show, especially that we talked good about him, because I don't want to give him the wrong impression.
We don't want to give him a big
no, I'm sure we'll find out.
His beard would extend by about 300 feet, won't it?
Don't encourage the guy. Come on.
I think he's out chasing his dog right now, probably.
He's busy with the puppy.
Yes. Well, we are coming to the end of the hour, and it's been a fantastic interview and show, and the shenanigans, of course, have been ridiculously over the top.
You didn't see any shenanigans?
No shenanigans.
No shenanigans here.
Oh, there was shenanigans.
I'll stand up in a second when we're going.
This is actually, I think this is the first show that there were more shenanigans going on during the live broadcast than there were in the live chat. So you live chatters need to kick up your shenanigans.
You said this is live. I thought you said this was going to be edited.
Oh, did I say live? No, we're going to edit it later.
Yeah.
What?
Was it? The thing where you look into the top right.
Yes. And actually, coincidentally, I didn't hit broadcast, so we've been doing this all, we're going to have to start all over and do it again. Just kidding. It was broadcast. Everybody was all depressed, like, oh, we have to go through that again.
But leave
I can't remember the guy.
I can't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And there's 14 people watching it, which is one of.
Oh, thank you, people.
Yes, everybody that came and watched live, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And if
don't
you are
forget
not,
to subscribe.
Yes, that's right. Listen to what he said. Hit subscribe. If you're not watching live, you are wrong. You need to be watching live because that's where the magic happens.
And we've covered the fact that it's good for your health to subscribe.
It is. No. I feel much better now.
Yes, and yes, I think that goes along with the leaving a review on Amazon. If you like, subscribe, and watch Keystroke Medium, you will lose 8 points on your cholesterol screening next year. So,
my goodness,
scientific fact because
science. Proven.
That's right. Well, Nick and Darren, can you tell everybody where they can get more information about you and where they can pick up your book at?
The website is liberatoruniverse.space.
.space.
I know we got .space, mostly because it was cheaper than .com, but it also sounds cool.
that does it. That bloody does actually. I'll go to your URL provider next time.
We have .space.
You can have unfathomed.c.
Yeah,
or something.
I want to get Ralph Kern.pants.
Ralph Kern.notepad.
Bracket lack thereof.
Yeah, or it's on Amazon. Yeah, search us. You'll find it.
Yeah, I'm at Darren Bullock 61.
61, yeah.
On Twitter. I don't know what my Facebook is, but there's a link on my Twitter page.
Mm-hmm. And there's a Dust Publishing Twitter now as well. It's at Dust Publishing, so yeah, worth following that. But mainly, you'll find everything on the website, liberatoruniverse.space.
Yep, all the links are there.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks you guys again for coming and hanging out with us this morning. It's been a blast.
Thanks for coming up with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. It's been funny.
Hopefully we did something productive today because man,
we'll have to turn up on a Thursday night.
Dug pretty good into our the writing process. There's actually some good content in there, besides all the yucks, because we like yuck.
Yuck.
It was very good stuff on the collaboration front, wasn't it? I don't think we've had sort of such tight collaboration on the show before. It's been really interesting to see that side of things going on a semi-serious note.
We'll have to have you back on to talk about how the anthology went, and kind of the results and talk about it. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for watching. If you're listening on the feed, thank you very much for supporting us. Like Darren said, don't forget to subscribe. Let us know what you thought about the show. Leave a comment below or hit us up on our website, keystroke.medium.com. For Ralph Kern and Scott Moon, I am Josh Hayes. We have been live with Steve Nick Bailey and Darren Bullock. Make sure you come back next week. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. You guys have a fantastic Monday.